Hello, everyone. I'm Milo, and we're going to be presenting on the piece Subsonic Pulse, which Wenbin wrote for us last summer, 2023, for the 2023 Acropolis Chamber Music Institute. Yeah, so I'm Milo. I'm a bass clarinetist studying at Vanderbilt University right now. And if you want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Mio. I'm not a clarinetist. I'm a bassoonist at the University of Denver.
Oh, hi, I'm the composer Wenbin. I just finished my degree, doctorate degree in University of Cincinnati. So yeah, thank you. So what should we do? Should we just talk about the music right now?
Yeah, if you wanted to just overall introduce the
Yeah,
piece.
I can talk about a little bit about the piece. Firstly, it's the instrumentation of the piece. It's called Subsonic Pause. It's composed for two bassoons and two bass clarinet, which is like super low wind instrumentation. And it has three movements. So each movement are like is super short. So how about let's dive into the first movement, which is called the fast movement. I remember, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so the three movements I call it the fast movement originally and the slow movement for the second one, and the fastest movement that's which will be the third one. I was just like I don't want to waste too much time on naming them, so I just randomly titled them by the yeah. So yeah, I was really surprised that Matt, which from Acropolis Quintet, he asked me to write in this instrumentation because I really love it because bass clarinet is always my favorite instrument. I really like that timbre. I call it like punch on my face timbre because every time I hear it, I can feel the vibration punch to my face. That's my favorite. So I intend to express a lot of that timbre in my music. And that was the time I just finished my study with Eighth Blackbird and also with Kwon, and they were presenting a lot like clarinet music with all the super cool multiphonics, all the cool extended techniques. But I was like, I want to create something that I'm comfortable with and I'm good at. So that's why I have this piece, Subsonic Pause. So the first movement, it's the fast movement. Start with a pentatonic scale up like dun 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 dun. It's just one simple, really easy, simple melodic idea, and I just use the idea on multiple instruments. Um, yeah,
You
it's super
you want
memorable.
to play
Yeah.
you want to play the first movement now?
How about let's play it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's see if this will work.
Oh, the other two performers are Ryan and Andrew, which from the who are from the Acropolis Quintet.
Yes. So that was the first movement. And I think something I remember about like the rehearsal process was that is just, especially towards the end, like the way, and I think Wenbin had talked about this, a lot of the notes don't really make much harmonic sense. They're just used because they're really low. And it's less of a harmonic thing than just making loud noises really fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I remember this is the video, and I listen to the video, I watch the video sometimes, but I feel like it's just not the live performance, because I remember the live, it was super loud. I can feel the shake from the ground, it's just super effective. I really love the effect. Everyone just doing that low effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember the last section you and Andrew did a lot.
Yes, the last section was very hard because it's just that one very simple melody, but then the way it's like interacts when they're displaced at the end, that was difficult to get together. And then the second movement, I feel like we get into a lot of interesting extended techniques on both the bassoons and the bass clarinets. There's a lot of harmonic multiphonics on the bass clarinet, and the bassoon, and also bass clarinet. Well, I guess the bassoon just plays the reeds at some points, and bass clarinet just plays the mouthpiece. So that's a very interesting sound you can listen for in the next movement.
Anything you want to say, Mio, about the reeds and the balance with the reeds and the bass clarinet?
I think it was interesting, like timbrally. It was definitely like a shift because we first started rehearsals with like having our reeds off the vocal, And then we later realized that that took too much time, so we had another read on the stand specifically for that read section. I think overall, like the timbrely was like really cool because bassoon doesn't really get to play with bass clarinet a whole lot aside from the bass section and requintet setting. And then like maybe like two duets that exist for bassoon and bass clarinet that Milo and I have both played with our respective colleagues. Um, and so I think like balancing sound was definitely something that was big when rehearsing. And then, the whole read section, making sure that still timbrely, even with this like kind of silly, fun sound, still having like that timbral texture still like remain with like bass clarinet being on the lower end and having that like continuous line and having the reed be like the melody. And so that was like really fun and cool to experiment with.
I think that's also the only piece I've ever had to perform where I had to whistle in it. So that was interesting. But yeah, that movement always makes me smile. It's so
Yeah.
silly.
And in case anyone can't whistle, I did email Wenbin before the Acropolis Chamber Music Institute, and I was like very stressed about it. And he told me not to worry. So I just stood there as if my
Pretending to
part didn't
whistle.
have whistle on it.
Yeah.
I remember I originally I wrote just not only two bassoon play the reeds, also Milo has to play the mouthpiece for the same melody. But after we tried several times, it was not working. It's so hard to make a melody on the clarinet
Yeah.
mouthpiece. I'm not a clarinetist, so I don't know that. But it's good to know right now. I mean, but still, it has a really large range for the mouthpiece. You can still do something, but not like accurate like a double reed instrument.
Yeah, and I think that kind of brings up something that was interesting working on this piece is this is one of I play a lot of new music, and this is one of the new music pieces I performed that had the most changes from the original pieces I was given to the end result. Like the festival we played it at, the Acropolis Chamber Music Institute, it was only a little longer than a week long, and there were a lot of changes to it, like the mouthpiece that we were just talking about. A lot of the harmonic things, I think, maybe didn't sound exactly like you were expecting, so we had to change that around. I think was the slap tonguing originally in the score? I can't remember. Or was that did Andrew just add that?
I don't remember, but I remember something I changed was a big change was the last section of this movement ending. It's supposed to be you guys all singing together. Do you remember that? It was like,
Oh, yeah.
and then that I found
Yes.
that's not good because a little bit pitchy. So
Yeah, yeah.
to switch that to like what's that called timber trail, and that actually sounds
Yes, yeah.
better. Yeah,
Abispligliondo, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was just a this piece has been like a good like
yeah. I got
example of how a piece changes in the process. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, definitely like we only rehearsed. So it was like a 10-day festival, I think. And so we
Hmm.
rehearsed like for maybe 6 days or so.
Hmm.
And then all the
Yeah.
rest 4 days were just concerts. And I mean, I think every single day we went into rehearsal during those 6 days, like it would be something new of like, ooh, like what does it sound like if you do like a timbral trill instead of
Hmm.
this? Or like, what would it sound like if you like pitch bend it here? So I think there was a lot of change and a lot of like development. And that was
And
also
ex
like a really cool aspect of it. Not only like the unique instrumentation, but the unique like circumstances of having the composer just live and there and getting to like ask and be like, well, maybe we can do this and like just throw out ideas to like create this like new piece. And that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, because sometimes if I want some cool effect, I'll just search the internet, but it's not always work on like a specific instrument or performer. Some people just can't do a type of thing, and some people, only a few people can do like a really weird texture thing. So I just learned that from internet. I just put it in my music, or it sounds probably good on Sibelius, but actually when you perform live, it's not. So I have to revise it over and over again. So yeah, it's such a fortune. Like people can just give me feedback and give me like new ideas on my music all the time. Yeah.
And
And also, do you remember the original title for this movement?
oh yeah, it was originally the slow movement, but then we changed it to what did it was it called now?
Yeah, because Mio said it was not slow at all, so I have to change that to the medium fast
The
movement.
medium fast movement, yes.
Yeah.
And then the last movement is the faster movement, and I'll play that now. Or fastest movement, sorry.
Fastest movement. I never realized that, but after hearing this one more time, and the ending part, the double bass clarinet plus double the bassoon, it kind of sounds like a brass to me, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like
it's a
Yeah.
very unique
I like
blend of timbre.
trombone timbre, yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I think this movement can represent like the bass clarinet sound the most to me, as a composer, because it just really like I don't know the word for that. It's kind of like a punchy sound. It's like you hit
Yeah.
punch on my face.
I think punchy is a good word for it. Yeah, I feel like especially the first and last movements of this piece are very idiosyncratic to the bass clarinet, and they work very well to like exploit that punchy in your face
Yeah,
just beefiness to the sound, I think.
aggressive.
Yeah, and I think going off of that, I think it's also cool, especially the third movement, where it has this like kind of this ABA format where the B section has this like really lyrical idea, and so it's really interesting going from this like really boomy bass to like this super soft like lyrical section where the bass clarinets have that high note range and the bassoons have this like hocket in 5/8, and so I think it's like also really good cool exploration in terms of like both like lyricism and just like a loud punchy sound and having them both like a soft sound and a really powerful sound.
Yeah, and I think something I really appreciate about the way you compose this piece and like kind of what you talked about, like your philosophy behind composing it is like before concerts and Necropolis, you were talking about this, is just writing a piece pretty much just entirely for the audience to enjoy it and just to like get a lot of applause and just like just have fun piece. Like, and I think that's kind of something that's not explored a whole lot in like a lot of chamber music. So I think I really appreciate this piece existing for that.
Yeah. And as a performer, I think it's as enjoyable as it is to have like a really complex, really intricate piece. And this piece is definitely intricate in terms of like all the hotkeys that we had to rehearse. It was also just cool having like a piece that just like the composer's like, oh yeah, just like play it as fast and as loud and just like go crazy. And that's also like a really cool way to explore like composition.
Thank you. For someone who don't know me, my writing philosophy is just loud and fast and super rhythmic. Because I feel like if you write your music in this way, you can get a lot of applause. It's superficial, but I love that. Yeah, who doesn't love that? You see, you know. Yeah. And also this piece has a lot extended techniques in this movement. And what's it called? Harmonic glees, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of different names for it, but yeah, the harmonic multiphonics,
Yeah.
overtone multiphonics, throat
And
harmonics.
I don't remember the original one. I didn't put a slap tongue on Andrew's second bass clarinet part at the beginning, and he was like, he was volunteer. Can I do all the slap tongue?
Yeah, he enjoys putting slap tongue where it is not written.
Yeah, because I was not adventurous at all. I was like, is it possible to do that in for the whole piece? It's like 3 minutes. It's kind of long. I don't know, is he gonna get tired or something? But he did it like perfectly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was super effective. Yeah. How
But
about
yeah,
mhm. How
you go
about the
ahead. Sorry.
balance between the bassoon and the bass clarinet? Or the combination? Do you have any like new concept after playing this piece?
Yeah, I think for me it was interesting because before playing this, the only time I had really played was bassoon was in reed quintet. And it's especially in the lower register, it's very easy to cover up the bassoon when you're playing bass clarinet, because bass clarinet can be very, very loud. So that was something, even though we are playing this piece that's just supposed to be fast and loud as the entire point of the piece, it was something to think about. And I think that has been my experience in all playing with bassoon is just give them space to play. But yeah.
Mhm. I mean, the clarinet definitely has a wider dynamic range in comparison to the bassoon. So it's definitely an exploration of how loud can you be as a bassoonist to match the bass clarinet, and also that the bass clarinet can't actually play like their fortissimo. It has to be a fortissimo that still is able to let it be an ensemble, because as much as it is a fast and loud piece, it at its core it is like a bass quartet, and so you have to be able to hear like both bassoon and bass clarinet for it to be as effective as it is, I think.
Yeah, it is so interesting to learn that, during the live rehearsal, because before that I just never have this concept. It sounds just so different, the balance. Because I thought, bassoon can play really loud, because I know it can play really loud, but I think based on its timbre, it can really easily get overshadowed by the bass clarinet. That's something I never realized. Yeah, but it's good to know right now.
You have a question in the chat, Wenbin.
What was the most surprising thing you discovered when working with this instrumentation? Yes, there's some. It's the low register. I thought the low register can be like a percussion, percussion effect, like bum, 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 bum. But it's more like, oh, sorry, I scared my dog. But actually, it's more like a bunch of cello doing the pizzicati to me. That's what I think. What do you guys think the same? It's
Yeah,
I
yeah, it's
think so, yeah.
it can be very percussive, but it definitely still does have tone and yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's the thing I never realized. And also I never realized bass clarinet can do such a range, bang, 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 that kind of thing, and that's so effective. I love that. I can
Yes.
do new music. Yeah, that's something I never realized. Yeah. Any more question for three of us? Mm.
Throughout this process, is there anything that you learned that you would think would be helpful for those looking for this type of collab? Um, I think don't, this is my advice to anyone working with composers, don't be afraid to tell them that you can't do something. Like, and I think Wenbin was really good about this. Like, if there was ever anything like that didn't work or just we couldn't get to what we wanted it to be, then like the composer wants a piece to sound good. And if it's not something you can play or not something that anyone can play, because composers sometimes will do that, um, it's they want you to they should want you to let them know. So I think that that's something that I took away from working on this.
Mm. That's true. I remember providing something I thought it's gonna be super easy on bassoon for Mio, and it's actually not playable. It's just
Yeah,
like
yeah. Yeah,
but I thought it's like just changing one finger, but for on bassoon it's like all the finger has to change. That's something I never realized.
for sure. The beginning of the third movement was something that we had to shift in order to make the tempo work. And I think just like letting the composer know what you can do, um, in terms of like your ability, and if they're like, I want it faster, or I want it like this certain timbre, and there's something that you as that instrumentalist can like advise the composer, they're definitely looking for those voices because the composer isn't always playing your instrument or know fully the range or what you can do, and so that's really helpful to them, and to just like not be scared of like reaching out to composers to want to work with them, because that's also like they're really like looking forward to working with people, and they're like also just wanting to write pieces and like
Sure.
getting that experience.
Yeah, we have almost time, and there's
Yeah.
I think it's for Mio, and also, do you guys want to share your social media?
Um, well, okay. So hi Margali. Um, so I think this piece has been adapted for a lot of different ensembles. You have a reed quintet version and then also a kind of mixed chamber ensemble that there's like flutes and strings in it, right?
Mm.
So Margali asks, would you be interested in adapting it for bass clarinet quartet? Wenbin.
Oh, what? Oh, I'm sorry. I was watching the chat. I was like trying to figure it out. I'm sorry. Okay, say that one more time.
Would you be interested in adapting this piece for bass clarinet quartet?
Sure. Just contact me there. You can. I think Jessica just shared my website.
Yeah, so you can find Wenbin's website. I'm on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All on Instagram. Yeah.
Wow. I
Thank
think
you
the
so
piece is
much.
amazing. It's such a cool piece. So
Thank
thank you
you.
all for sharing that experience with us. I encourage you all to reach out to them if you have questions about this process and what that was like working with Wenbin, and a very close relationship in this kind of commission situation. And we are going to get started with our next session.